Hi everyone. So now we are beginning with the next chapter on next concept on compilers. So here the intermediate code that we generate by using different syntax directed translation schemes can often be used in compilers in this particular format. So there are four kinds of intermediate code which are often used in compilers, and those are postfix notation, syntax trees, quadruples, and triples. So as this session moves on, we are going to learn each one of this. Postfix notation is one in which suppose I have an expression a plus b. Postfix notation of a plus b is ab plus. So postfix means I am following the operator after the operands. So postfix notation of a plus b is equal to ab plus. So here the plus, in this example, the plus sign example that I had given you all is a binary operator. Binary operator meaning it has two operands, a plus b. So a and b are two operands of plus. Okay. So in this example of a plus b that I have given to you all, the postfix notation of that is ab plus. So this plus is a binary operator because it has two operands, a and b. Okay. Similarly, this is the generalized statement that I have given here, saying if theta is a k array operator. Binary operator have two operands. So how many operands k array operator will have? K. Right? Binary operator is having two operands, but k array operator will have k operands. So suppose I have a k array operator theta. So e1 and e1, e2 till ek will be its operands, right? So this theta will be applied to e1, e2 till ek, and the resulting will be e1, e2 till ek followed by theta. Just like, let's consider this theta was a binary operator. So it's a two array operator. So there are two operands, e1 and e2. So what is the postfix notation of that? e1, e2 plus. Similarly, if theta is a k array operator, operands will be e1, e2 till ek. So on application of k array operator to e1, e2 till ek, the resultant expression that I get is e1, e2 till ek followed by theta. Okay. So there is one more example here that I have given for postfix notation. Okay. So what is the postfix form of c minus d? cd minus. What is postfix of a plus c? ac plus. What is postfix of a multiplied by c? ac asterisk. And what is postfix notation of a plus b? ab plus. Right? So I have explained to you all postfix notation of each of the small components here. Okay. So if I convert this entire stuff into a postfix notation, what is that I am getting? If a is true, then it's cd minus, correct? If a is true, then it is cd minus, right? Else it is ac plus. If a is true, it is cd minus, else it is ac plus, correct? So if a is true, it is cd minus, else it is ac plus. And what about this? ac asterisk ab plus. So this question mark is a ternary operator here. Okay. So how to evaluate a postfix expression? Now for example, this is the postfix expression that I have given to you all. 1 3 plus 5 asterisk. This is the postfix expression. How to evaluate this? Place 1 on the stack. Then you place 3 on the stack. As soon as you encounter an operator, check what is the arity of the operator. The arity of this operator is binary. So pop top two elements from the stack and add them up, because this is the addition sign. Okay. So I repeat, place 1 on the stack, then you place 3 on the stack. Then you get an operator plus. So what is the arity of this operator? Binary operator. Correct. So you pop two elements from the stack and add them up and place the result on the stack. So I place 4 on the stack. Then you place 5 on the stack. So I have 4 and 5 on the stack. then I get asterisk operator. What is the arity of this operator? 2. It's a binary operator. So pop top two elements of the stack, that is pop 4 and 5, and multiply them. So 4 5s are 20 and you place 20 on the stack. Simple. So this is how you evaluate the postfix expression. There is one more postfix expression that I am explaining here, L jump, which causes you to jump to label L. L jump will cause you to jump to label L. Okay. So there is one more expression example that I am giving you down. Suppose you type this. What this means is LJ meaning jump to L. Okay. So if LT is less than, so if E1 is less than E2, jump to L. Simple. LT is less than. So this is a postfix expression. How to interpret this? If E1 is less than E2, less than, okay. If E1 is less than E2, jump to L. How to explain this? If E is equal to 0, jump to L. I repeat, if E is equal to 0, jump to L. Fine. Again, how to convert this into postfix notation? If E is true, then X, else it is Y. If E is true, then X. If E is false, then Y. So what am I done here? What have I done here? If E is equal to 0, if E is equal to 0, meaning it is Y, right? So if E is equal to 0, jump to L1. What is defined at L1 label? Y. If E is equal to 0, I am supposed to go to Y. So if E is equal to 0, jump to L1. So go to Y. Else, go to X. And after X is evaluated, jump to L2. L2 is outside if else. Okay, here I have shown how to convert this particular expression into a postfix. Wherein what we do here? If E is equal to 0, if E is equal to 0, you have to go to Y, right? So if equal to 0, jump to L1, and at L1 I define Y. Otherwise, go to X, evaluate X, and after X jump to L2. That means L2 is outside this if else. Okay. There is one more example that I have given. If A is true, then nested if. If C minus D is true, then A plus C, else this. And this else is for this if. Okay. So how to convert this into postfix? If A is equal to 0, if A is equal to 0, then I have to come here. So if A is equal to 0, jump to L1, and at L1 I need to have AB plus. At L1 I have AB plus, correct. And then go to the next statement following this if else. Okay. If A is 0, go to AB plus. If A is equal to 0, go to L1. So at L1 I say AB plus. Otherwise, go to nested if. Otherwise, check if CD minus is true. If CD minus is equal to 0, then AC asterisk. If CD minus is equal to 0, jump to L2, and L2 says AC asterisk. Otherwise, AC plus. And after that, you jump to L3, which is outside this entire nested if else. Okay. So I'll again explain this. If A is equal to 0, come here, right? AB plus. If A is equal to 0, jump to L1. And at L1, I say AB plus, and then you go out. Otherwise, there is a nested. Check if CD minus is true. If CD minus is equal to 0, go to AC asterisk. So if CD minus is equal to 0, jump to L2. What is L2? AC asterisk. Otherwise, evaluate AC plus, and then you jump to L3 after executing. Correct? So following is the syntax directed translation for a postfix code. So suppose I have E gives E1 op E2. What is the postfix form of it? Postfix form of it is E1.code to that you concatenate E2.code to that you concatenate op. Semantic action for a postfix notation of this expression is First you evaluate whatever is e1.code, then you evaluate whatever is e2.code, and then you evaluate op and you print op on the screen. Correct? In this case, whatever is e1.code, put it in e.code. And in this case, whatever is the ID, that you assign it to e.code and print ID. So these are the output actions which I have shown in the column number 3. Okay. So I'll give a simple example here how to use these particular semantic actions. Suppose the user gave you input a plus b into c. Suppose user gives a plus b into c. So what you do? First you shift a onto the stack. A is the identifier. So first you shift a onto the stack. Then you reduce by using this particular production. So you reduce using this particular production. That means you replace this a with e. And if I want to reduce using this production, what is the output action that is associated with it? Print the identifier which you have encountered. What is the identifier that I have encountered? A. So print a on the screen. That's why I marked it with bold. Print a. Okay. First you shift a on the stack. First you shift the a on the stack. Then you reduce using this production. So output action associated with it is print a. Okay. So then I shift plus on the stack. Then I shift b on the stack. Then I reduce b using this production. Output action says print the identifier. So I am printing b on the screen. Okay. Now you shift asterisk on the stack. Then you shift c. Then you reduce c using this production and you print c. Okay. So now I have e plus e into e on the stack. So now you reduce using e of e. Okay. What is the output action associated? Print op. What is the topmost operator that was there on the screen? E plus e into e was there, right? So e of e. So op was asterisk. So print asterisk. Then you reduce using this production again, because now e plus e remains on the stack after I do this processing. So you print plus. So what is printed on the screen? A, B, C, asterisk plus. What is printed on the screen? A, B, C, asterisk plus. So is that expression a postfix notation of this? Yes. So if you convert a plus b into c in postfix notation, you will get a, b, c, asterisk plus. And that is exactly what we are printing on the screen. Okay. Now this is the syntax directed translation of syntax trees. We have already seen the syntax directed translation of postfix here, right? This is a syntax directed translation of the postfix code. Now let's see syntax directed translation of syntax trees. What is a syntax tree? It's the reduced representation of the parse tree, where operators are the interior nodes and operands are either the leaf nodes, or in a nested expression it goes as interior again. But operator is interior nodes connecting the operands, right? So for this particular grammar, what are the semantic action for a syntax tree? So for explaining the syntax directed translation of syntax trees, now these are the productions and these are its semantic actions. I'll explain to you all of these semantic actions. Okay. So for this, e.val is a translation whose value is a pointer to the node of a syntax tree. I repeat, e.val is a translation whose value is a pointer to a node in the syntax tree. Function node has three arguments: operator, left argument, right argument. Okay. The function node has three arguments: operator, left and right. So it takes three arguments. The first argument is the name of the operator. The second and third are pointers to the roots of subtrees. So second and third arguments are pointers to the roots of subtrees. So this is the interior node and these are its operand. So this is pointing to root of its left subtree. This is pointing to the root of the right subtree. So this operator is an interior node. This is pointing to the root of left subtree. This is pointing to the root of right subtree. Okay. So the function node creates a new node which is labeled by the first argument and makes the second and third arguments the left and right children of the new node. I repeat, the function node creates a new node labeled by the first argument and makes the second and third arguments the left and right children of the new node. And it returns the pointer to the created node. Simple. Okay, and it returns the pointer to the created node. So the second example is very easy. Whatever is the value of E1, I assign it to E. Now what this function unary does? Unary function have two operators. One, it has two arguments, sorry. Unary function have two arguments. So this function unary creates a new node op and makes make the second argument as its child. I repeat, unary function creates a new node operator which is the first argument and makes the second argument as its child. I repeat, unary function creates a new node operator and makes the second argument as its child. Again, the pointer to the created node is returned by unary function. Function leaf creates a new node which is labeled with id and returns a pointer to that node. I repeat, function leaf creates a new node which is labeled by id and returns a pointer to that node. So this node receives no children. Okay, this is what a syntax directed translation for syntax tree is. Now we'll move on to the three address code. That is the third way of representing intermediate code. We have already learned two now, postfix notation and syntax trees. Now we are moving to the third notation of intermediate code, and that is by three address code. Three address code is a sequence of statements typically of the form A equal to B operator C. I repeat, three address code is a sequence of statements typically of the form A is equal to B operator C, where A, B and C are either programmer defined names, constants or compiler generated temporary names, and OP is the operator. Each statement usually contains three addresses, two for operands and one for the result. So there are two for operands B and C and one for the result A. No complicated arithmetic expressions are permitted as there is only one operator per statement. Okay, there is only one operator per statement and hence no complicated arithmetic expressions are permitted here. So for example, suppose I want to represent x plus y into z expression into a three address code, how will I do it? So here, since in three address code you can have maximum one operator and maximum three addresses A, B and C, I need to break this down into two small parts. First you compute y into z and save it into temporary variable t1. Then x you add it to temporary variable t1 and save it into t2. Okay, first you compute y and z multiplication value and save it into t1. Then add that value to x and save that result into t2. So with this, t1 and t2 are two compiler generated names. Okay, so these are the additional three address statements. So one way of writing a three address code statement is A is equal to B operator C. Second is A op C. Now this op is a unary operator. Okay. Third way is unconditional jump. For example, go to L, go to label L. Next three address code example is conditional jumps, such as if A relational operator B is success, go to label L. Next example is parameter A and call P comma N. So these instructions are used to implement a procedure call. Next examples are indexed assignments of the form A is equal to B of I and A of I is equal to B. So these are different examples of three address. A is equal to B of I or A of I is equal to B. Address and pointer assignments of this form are also a type of three address code. Here address of B I am assigning it to A. Here content of pointer B I am assigning it to A. Here B I am assigning it to content of A. Okay. Now let's see what a quadruple is. Quadruple is one of the way of implementing a three address statements. I repeat, quadruple is one way of implementing three address statements. It is the record structure with four fields. I repeat, it's a record structure with four fields. Operator, argument 1, argument 2 and a result. Okay, so it's a record structure with four fields: operator, argument 1, argument 2 and the result. Okay, so how to represent this quadruple? The operator which is there over here contains an internal code for the operator. So there are two levels of specificity which op field may have. We may translate to intermediate code. We may, as we translate to intermediate code, determine whether a binary operator like asterisk means a fixed or floating point multiplication or perhaps another kind of multiplication, using different operator code for different meaning. Okay, so the three address statement A is equal to B operator C puts B in argument 1, C in argument 2, A in the result. Okay, so let us adopt the convention that statements with unary operators like A is equal to minus B or A is equal to B do not use the argument number 2. So let's follow that convention. And operators like param uses neither argument 2 nor result. Conditional and unconditional jumps put the target label in the result. Okay, conditional and unconditional jumps put the target label in the result. So over here, this is the expression that for which I need to write a three address code. So in three address code, maximum you can have one operator and three operands, right? One operator and three symbols. So here I execute unary operator which is highest precedence. So minus of B I assign it to T1. Then bracketed goes next. So C plus D assign it to T2. Then I multiply T1 with T2, assign it to T3. And whatever is the value of T3, I assign it to A. Clear? This is how we write a three address code. First I do minus of B, put it into T1. Then I execute bracketed statement, C plus D is T2. Then I multiply T1 and T2, save it into T3. And whatever is T3, I assign it to A. So I have converted this one line into a set of three address statements. Now how to convert this set of three address statements into quadruple? Just have four columns: operator, argument 1, argument 2 and the result. Okay, so just number this. So I have a 0 which is for the first statement, which says U minus is the operator. There is only one argument B, and what is the result? T1. For the next statement, plus is the operator, C is argument 1, D is argument 2, and the result is T2. For next statement, operator is asterisk, T1 is argument 1, T2 is argument 2, result is T3. And for the assignment statement, T3 is argument 1, result is A, simple. So this is how to write a quadruples. Next we will learn how to write triples. Triple means to avoid entering temporary names into the symbol table. The three address statements are represented by a structure with only three fields. So here if you just notice, whatever temporary variables those were created, T1, T2, T3, those were put up in this particular table structure's result, T1, T2 and T3. To avoid doing that, we have come up with triples. That's a different way of representing three address code. So to avoid entering temporary names into symbol table, the three address statements are represented now with triples in a way such that structure is only having three arguments, three fields, sorry. So first is the operator, second is argument 1, third is argument 2, where argument 1 and argument 2 are either pointers to the symbol table or pointers to itself. I repeat, quadruple is a structure which consists of three fields, operator, argument 1 and argument 2. So operator field contains the operator, argument 1 and argument 2 contains either pointers to the symbol table or it contains pointers to itself. It either contains pointers to symbol table or pointers to itself. What was happening in quadruple? Suppose I include T1, T2, T3 here. I need to have the pointers to the symbol table saved into this quadruple data structure, right? So to avoid that, we have come up with triples, wherein the result field I have removed. And the entries in argument 1 and argument 2 is either pointers to the entries in symbol table or it is pointers to itself. Simple. So for this example, same example, A is equal to minus B into C plus D. So for the same example, I have a triple now. So U minus of B, and that is depicted by this statement. So the same three address code will be there for this statement. For this statement, I have this three address code. Now for this example, I will get the same three address code. Just instead of quadruple, I am having triple now. Okay, instead of a quadruple, I am having triple now. But the expression is same. Three address code also will be same. So minus of B, put it into T1. That is the first statement. So here I am doing U minus of B. And instead of placing that T in the result field, I don't have a result field. So this statement 0 indicates that I have already done minus B. Next is C plus D, I am putting it into T2 plus C and D. So this number 1 will mean that I have done C plus D. Next is T1 into T2, I put it into T3. So what is multiplies the sign? What is T1? T1 is represented by this 0. T1 was minus B, right? So minus of B. So this is T1. What is T2? C plus D. So T2 is represented by 1. So now in the next statement, I need to multiply T1 and T2. So I am multiplying 0 with 1. Simple. 0 is representing T1. 1 is representing T2. So in this statement, I am supposed to multiply T1 and T2. So 0 multiplied by 1. So this 2 will depict T3. Finally, what am I doing? Whatever is T3, I am assigning it to A. So whatever is 2, I am assigning it to A. Assignment statement. Whatever is 2, I am assigning it to A. Simple. So this is what a triple is. The more examples of triples. Suppose someone gives you A of I equal to B. Okay. This you have to break it down into two statements. First is subscript operator and then the assignment statement. So let's compute subscript operator first. Subscript operator A of I. So A is the first argument, I is the second argument. So A of I subscript operator, and for the assignment statement, whatever is in B, put it into A of I. So A of I is represented by 0. So whatever is in B, put it into A of I. Simple. So first you analyze the subscript operator. So A is the first argument, I is the second argument. So A of I is represented by this line. Then you assign whatever is in B to A of I. Who is representing A of I? 0. So whatever is in B, you assign it to 0, because 0 is representing A of I. Same for this. One more example. B of I, you assign it to A. So first you handle subscript operator. B is the first argument, I is the second argument. So this line is representing B of I. Second statement says whatever is B of I, assign it to A. So whatever is 0, assign it to A. Okay. So now we have something called indirect triples. There is one problem that we see in triples. That is, if we change the memory location to some other memory location, if the memory gets moved, then this doesn't make sense. Now, because this statement is directly pointing to 0. This statement is directly pointing to 1. So if there is a change in memory location, then entire triple structure needs to be updated with the different memory location values. Right? Hence, due to this issue, that if I move the memory, then I need to change the entire triple structure. For this, I have come up with something called indirect triples. Here, listing of pointers to triples rather than listing the triples themselves. So what we do is, this is a triple structure that we had, right? This is the structure that we had constructed. So what I did is, instead of directly having these numbers 0 and 1 and 2 listed out directly here, I have one more thing that is created here, a separate mapping sort of, where 0 means 14. Okay, 0 means 14, 1 means 15, 2 means 16, 3 means 17. So instead of numbering this as 0, 1, 2, 3, I wrote 14, 15, 16, 17. And there is a mapping that is defined here. 0 means 14, 1 means 15, 2 means 16, 3 means 17. Okay. So now here, in place of 0, 1 and 2, I have 14, 15, 16. So tomorrow if they decide to change the memory, then I have to just change this particular data structure and entire triple remains as it is. Tomorrow if 0 is moved to address number 19, then just make 19 here. Okay. So in case of direct triples, moving a statement that defines a temporary value requires us to change all the pointers to that statement in argument and argument 2. Right? In case of triples, in case if you want to move the statement that defines a temporary, now here 0, 1 and 2 defines temporary variables, right? So in triples, moving a statement that defines a temporary requires us to change all these pointers to this statement in argument 1 and argument 2 arrays, right? So we have introduced indirect triples. So in the indirect triples, no such problem exists. To move a statement, we simply have to reorder the statement list. In indirect triples, we can directly reorder the statement list. Since pointers to temporary values refer to operator argument 1 and argument 2 arrays which are not changed, none of these pointers need to be changed. Clear? So in indirect triples, we do not have a problem of moving around statements involving temporary variables. The reason being, we can directly move a statement by simply reordering the statement list. Since the pointers to temporary variables refers to operator argument 1 and argument 2 arrays which are not changed, none of these pointers need to be changed. Okay. So in my next session, we are going to discuss more on translation of assignment statements. Thank you.